Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Very excited. No, I will help you out anytime, Erica. Looking forward. No, this is such a nice experience. And let's go global. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I just love it. Okay, let me see who else is on. We're just growing. Let's see.
I think Fred is
Yoshi's on.
Hi, Antoinette.
Well, this is awesome. All right. Well, we are right at 11:03 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we have a wonderful speaker, Antonio from Portugal. He is a realtor, CIPS, CRS. You also have some other designations. It is so impressive. And you have been doing trade mission after trade mission, inviting realtors to your beautiful country, showing them Portugal, showing them your real estate. And not only that, but you have just been so amazing at just sharing with the entire world and all of us realtors about how beautiful Portugal is, except us. So now it's our turn. We have you now for the next hour. So thank you for joining us. And I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you do what you do best, telling us about Portugal.
You got it. Thank you, Erica, and the Reno Sparks Association of Realtors for having me and letting me present our beautiful Portugal. I never get tired. This has been my home for the last 20 years, and I want you guys to know why I've made it my home, that maybe not only yourselves, but also your clients can make it. So that's what it's about. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all for the invite, and it's always a pleasure. And so if April, if you want to, on the first slide that has an introduction video of Portugal. Next slide. That's just a little sample of our beautiful Portugal. And so next slide. There we go. Next slide. That's a beautiful home that you can find here in Portugal. Portugal, located very close to Europe from the US. We have two islands, the Azores and the Madeira, in addition to the continent of Portugal, which you can see by the map, the closeness from New York City to Lisbon. It's only a 7-8 hour, I was going to say drive flight. So There is, and even actually from New York after October 29th, there'll be direct flights to Funchal in the Madeira as well. There are existing flights direct from the Boston area to the Azores. So that's just to give you a geographic location where Portugal is located. So, and a lot of the data as well there, you can see the square kilometers, everything. So I won't bore you that because in the interest of saving time, but we could go on to the next slide. Some of the people that have created our culture, from singers, architects, football players, poets, designers. So just some of the faces that are part of our culture of Portugal here. Next slide. Portugal has a lot of UNESCO heritage sites classified, and some beautiful, medieval, not only castles, towers, even the Douro Valley. So some of the UNESCO heritage sites that have been classified. So we can go into next slide. This is some of the data. And again, I won't bore you with a lot of this data because we're going to be here talking about real estate and why Portugal should be. And I'll start it off with some of our 5 reasons why people should look to either move or invest in Portugal. So this is just some data that, again, I think April and Erica will be more than happy to share with whoever is here on the call. They can receive this if you like to share it. So it's not a problem. So we can go on to the next slide. Some of the GDP numbers, unemployment numbers. We can keep skipping. These are all numbers that have to do. Some of the our exports that we do. This is the Douro Valley. We were just talking about the small little terrace-lined wine. It's classified by UNESCO Heritage. Beautiful river that runs, and that's where the port wine, world-renowned, comes from in this region. Okay, and it goes into the Atlantic, the Douro River. So next slide. Building licenses and finished buildings. Again, a lot of data. Mario, actually, when he was on the trade mission, we saw this area there in Maravilha, which is being built by, this is an architect, Renzo Piano, you see in the background in the images. And again, you could see from the years and the license that for building licenses and finished buildings. So we could skip this data to the next slide as well. This is all in the interest of saving time, so we can get down to really why you should be moving to Portugal. This was data from last year, 2020, where 170,000 properties were transactioned, here in Portugal. So next slide. And the next slide is where they were bought, number of values. Again, more data on Portugal and numbers. Next slide. This is important. This is where per square meter, different areas of where throughout the country, Porto, Lisbon, per square meter, what it is an average cost of a home. Keep in mind, this is a national average. Other areas of like Lisbon, where it's one of the prime real estate areas of downtown, where you have here like a national average there for 2,500 euros, but you do have more properties there that can go up to 10, 12, 15,000 euros per square meter. So this is just a national average for the statistics of property values. Next slide. Property values in comparison to more of the other European markets. And I'll talk about that in one of the 5 reasons as well. But these are very high. Portugal's very competitive in pricing per square meter in comparison to other European markets. Next slide. This is April. I think April's going to be moving here someday. These are beautiful little homes near Aveiro. Aveiro is our Venice, where you have a lot of canals and those boats that look like they're really, really attractive. And they have this area there. This is in the Praia Norte of Aveiro, where you have these typical homes. They're just painted like this. So very interesting. So we can go to the next slide. where international buyers are buying. Of course, Porto in the last year, see April that yellow. The Porto area has become, over the last year 2020 and 2021, where more international buyers are looking to buy in the north, not only because of the bigger returns on investments, but again, Lisbon and the Algarve, you can see the percentages of where some of our international buyers. This is all data from 2020. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, these are some of the buildings that you could see, and some of the famous faces that did make Portugal, or have still make Portugal their home. Madonna, Monica Bellucci. You see there Morgan Freeman, but you know, he's holding the red shoe, and that's Christian Louboutin. All right, the red shoe guy actually invested. He has a home. Him and Monica do have a home in the center of Lisbon. There are two palaces side by side. But Christian Louboutin invested. He also has a holiday house in Melides, which is right about an hour on the coast from Lisbon, and where not only has a private residence, but he just bought a piece of land to build a luxury 5-star hotel there as well. So this is some of the famous people not only buying, investing here, and then also Michael Fassbender, as we all know. So it's just some of the famous faces, right? International buyers that, with the many others, international soccer players, etc., that make Portugal their home as well. Next slide. Your best kept secret. Portugal's been here all along, but Americans have little by little started to discover it. And one of the, and this is probably where I could start, where I would tell you, Portugal's best kept secret. There are I can give you over 100 reasons why you should consider either moving or investing in Portugal. Excuse me, but I'm going to highlight 5. And these are the following. It's about climate. Portugal has over 3,300 hours of sunshine per year. Yeah, you could keep going through the slides, because as I talk, April, 3,300 hours of sunshine per year. It is one of the highest rates in Europe. Okay, reason number 1. Number 2, you could pass the slide as well. Again, international buyers. Reason number 2, it's about satisfaction. Over 80% of the people who visit Portugal year after year decide to come back and make it their permanent home. And that has to do with the culture, the people, the food, the wine, cost of living. You know, I think it's associated when many people choose, and there are a lot of beautiful countries now to move to in the world, and people are considering leaving where they are now for much more quality of life. And quality of life most of the time is associated in cost of living. And it has one of the lowest cost of livings, not only in Europe, but throughout the world. So that is reason number 2. You can keep passing the slide, April. Some of the international buyers, whereas, you know, for example, like France is the biggest probably buyers for Europe, for Portugal than there are in Europe. They're the biggest spenders is the Asian market. Okay, but the biggest group where the families that decide is France, and then, you know, the United Kingdom. You could see also, and you'll see America is there, or Estados Unidos at the number 7. You know what, guys? It'll probably be closer to number 3, number 2, number 3, as Americans have little by little started to discover Portugal. And so 2 reasons. Third reasons, you could skip this slide. Also, third reason that people, international buyers, where they decide to come here and make it their home, it has to do with taxation. Okay, and where you can keep passing the slide. Low prices of housing. We want to get to, it has to do with taxation and the golden visa program that is associated with it. You can pass, yeah, this is down in Quinta do Lago, where we were also at the trade mission looking there, golden visa. So that is one of the third reasons, people look at to Portugal to buy, and that is through the acquisition of a property. Okay, and you could start as low as 280,000 euros in a property that's in a low density area. Basically what that means, in the interior part of Portugal, in a home that's 30 years old. So the minimum requirement is 280,000 euros. And you can qualify for what most people, and that's what's most interesting, it's through the acquisition of a property. But at the end of the 5 years, you will have a second passport, and there is no problem maintaining your U.S. passport. You can have a dual citizenship now here with the convenience that we have here in Portugal. So golden visa program in conjunction with, and you can keep passing the slide. The third reason it continues is taxation. This is some of the golden visa numbers that people were building construction, investment funds, because you can also use it through buying a property fund. You don't even have to buy property, or through building a business where you start, you can create 10 jobs. You have to transfer capitals of 1 million euros. But the most widely used for the golden visa program is through the acquisition of a property. And it is at a minimum of 280,000 euros in a property 30 years old, low density area in the countryside. And then you can, next slide, some of the national investors who made Portugal, where they're coming from. And you could see where most of them, Brazil is up there as well. China, of course, you know, they're the biggest, an Asian market is the biggest buyers in terms of volume numbers of euros, right, that they're spending. But the biggest groups as well, these are international, but the biggest group of buyers here in Portugal are the French. French love Portugal and other European countries, but these are the international buyers where they're coming from in some of the numbers for the 2020, for last year. Next slide. This is the golden visa. You have the golden visa. You also have the D7 visa, and the D7 visa is another form of residency status. The difference is with the golden visa, you have to spend 7 days in the first year, 14 days every year after that until the 5th year completes, and then you can get the passport. The D7 visa works the same way. At the end of the 5 years, you will be having a full residency status with a Portuguese citizenship. The only difference is that you have to live in Portugal 183 days out of the year. That is the only difference. And there is no limit or max on what you can spend on a property or not. You can even rent a property. So you don't have to be a millionaire to live in Portugal. Even we have clients that I always recommend until they figure out exactly where they want to live, because Portugal is very different from north to south in terms of climate. So until they figure out where they want to settle down, it's important to always maybe rent the property. So you can rent the property and use the D7 visa. Keep in mind, it's a process that has to start in your home country. Okay, so it has to get started if you're where you live at the moment. And then with the D7 visa or golden visa program, you can benefit from a 10-year tax exemption. And the D7 visa is actually called the passive income visa. And you can use it with the non-habitual or NHR status, non-habitual resident, where you can, for 10 years, you're not going to be paying any income or any tax, rather, not income, because it's, but any passive income. So your retirement pension, rental properties, passive income, passive income will be exempt for 10 years. Once those 10 years are over, then you move up to the normal tax bracket in IRS, which is anywhere between 28 to 32%. Okay. And there's also incentives for the D7 visa and the non-habitual resident status for like professionals, for like doctors, accountants, professors, etc. They will benefit themselves on their income that they have to have an IRS. Where they live here in Portugal, they have a strict, it's a 10% cap at the tax bracket. That's what they pay. So because Portugal wants to motivate and people professionals coming into Portugal to move, to work, and just grow the country as well. So we can go on to the next slide. But this is golden visa, D7 visa, and then I can answer any questions more specifically. But again, it has to do with taxes, IRS, and the advantages. And so that's the third reason, taxation, why people should move to Portugal. Number 4 is what we talked about earlier before, and that has to do with property values. Okay, Portugal, in comparison to other European markets, is competitively priced, okay, in terms of square meter. When you compare it to cities like Paris, Milan, London, it's a fraction of the cost here in Europe, here in Portugal, with other bigger European cities. So number 4 reason is definitely value for pricing of homes. And we can just go on to the next slide. And number 5 has to do with safety. Okay, safety. This is an image of Porto that we're going to be doing a trade mission sometime in June to get to know the Porto and the north area as well. We're planning one now in February in Madeira, but Porto is definitely one of the cities that you have to look and you have to see. It's quite different from Lisbon. But again, the fifth reason, it has to do with safety. Portugal is the third safest country in the world rated by Global Peace Index on a variety of factors. It is the fifth country rated by International Living Magazine, and they do a survey every single year on the top 20 countries where to live. Number one, Costa Rica, La Pura Vida. Number two, you have Colombia, Mexico, Belize, right? Portugal is at number 5. Where expats choose to live. And we can go on to the next slide. These are all, Portugal and the US has lots of convenience. Yeah, we're going to stop here now, buying process. Portugal has a lot of convenience with the US in terms of even a Schengen visa. Somebody can come into Portugal without, it's just you buy an airplane ticket. And if you're a US citizen, for 90 days, you can just visit throughout the Schengen space, right? Here in Portugal or throughout Europe through the Schengen space. So basically, and those are the top 5 reasons that I consider that I can give you over 100, but that you should really consider what, and if you haven't made it yet, if you haven't convinced you yet, then probably I have to work some more at it. But those are my top 5 reasons why someone should definitely invest or move to Portugal. And then the buying process, the buying process is Portugal. Real estate is real estate. There's no difference where you are in the world in doing real estate. And that is, whether you have an online search, finding an agent or working with an agent. I do recommend here, when you're working with an agent here in Portugal, do look in the CIPS database. We have a connection with the National Association of Realtors here in Portugal. So there is a database to find where you'll find trusted professionals that work under the code of ethics, right? That's who we are. So it exists here in Portugal. Find those for your clients or yourself that you want, CIPS, CRS, ABR, there's a database here for that. So finding an agent, working, when you visit the property, you make a decision, this is the property I want, making an offer, and then the decision, there is where the green, the preliminary purchase agreement, okay, that's when you effectively, the seller agrees and the buyer, and they both agree to that price, the conditions. Now, what's different in the buying process from the US and here, we don't have what's called like an earnest deposit or escrow accounts or title searches, or even, we have title search, we don't have title insurance. We don't have, so there's a few things that are in the process that skip, where you have what it's called, it's the contrato promessa de compra e venda. In one of the earlier slides, it outlines what it is. And it's basically where the selling party and the buying party agree to that purchase price, the deposit, all the conditions, all the contingencies, right, that you wanted, whether you want to get the home inspection, you're going to be getting a loan on a property. And even, by the way, even foreign property owners can get a loan on Portugal, buying a property in Portugal, where they can qualify for a 60% LTV, loan to value ratio. So you would have to 40% you have yourself, but the other 60% can be financed by a bank here in Portugal. Okay, and so the preliminary purchasing agreement, it's called the acronym CPCV, Contrato Promessa de Compra e Venda, where it outlines all what you're selling. The title search is done because and the due diligence on the property is done with the notary or lawyer, and it's a very simple process because the property has a registry to it, and all the liens, any mortgages, anything that on the property, it's registered there. So before doing the contract, it has to be outlined, hey, you still have a mortgage to liquidate, or you have a lien on this property that you still have to pay. So it's registered there. And all those things have to get built into that preliminary purchase agreement. And when you have that, the down payment is given to the property owner, and that he cannot sell it to anybody else. If he does, he has to give you double the deposit back, or you can make him or her close on that property in a court of law. I've never had that happen neither way, because and then the buyer, if they walk out of the deal, then they lose the down payment. And usually a down payment on the property is a 10% down payment, but it can be flexible, could be less, could be more. But the owner of the property receives that down payment, where we don't have those escrow accounts or earnest deposit. He's responsible, he or she is responsible for that deposit until the closing date is set. And that closing date is also built into that preliminary purchase agreement. And then you have, once that 60 day, and usually it's between 60 or 90 days, then you have the notary where they do the buying contract, selling. We call it here the Escritura Pública, which is a public document, and it's accessible. Anybody could see it. It's public records. It outlines what the property, where it's registered, etc., how much it was bought, if it was used the bank. All those details go into that public deed, and then the deed and the signing and move-in date. And so that is basically the buying process. Again, keep in mind, the only difference is that we don't have escrow accounts or earnest deposits, title insurance. We don't have that here because it just that due diligence is done before the preliminary purchase agreement is signed. Okay, so next slide. Mortgage costs. This is mortgage and property costs. If you're buying a property, and I think I based it here on 400,000, exactly 400,000. All additional costs, mortgage, stamp duties, notary fees, lawyers' fees, property registration, property transfer tax, everything. You're looking at like anywhere between 6 to 8%. So depending on 400,000 euros, it will be closer to the 8%. So I think it's your total extra cost would be 31,000 euros in addition to the property value. Okay, so if you're buying a cheaper property around the 300,000 euros, you're looking at a 6% tax bracket. So, you know, in addition, and a 6%, not tax bracket, 6% addition to all the closing costs that are associated in addition to the value of the property. Next slide. And this is, the CPCV, the promissory contract. Here I'll outline what it is and what is that contract that you do and how you sign it, all the contingencies. So that's the CPCV, the acronym for Contrato Promessa de Compra e Venda. Next slide. Azores. If you've never been to the Azores, it's one of the beautiful magical islands. It's called the Pearl of the Atlantic. This is the lagoon of 7 cities, because it has 7 cities that actually are around this beautiful lagoon. And the Azores also is a volcanic island. Definitely, it's been for 2020 or 21 rather, and I'm sure in 2022 it's been like running a few years in a row now as the best European. It won for the Global Travel Awards. Azores was nominated and won for the best island natural tourism. So beautiful Azores. Next slide. Now we'll be looking at some property. I think Mario probably, when he was on the bus, we did see it. It was being built. It's 26 floors and beautiful property near outside of Lisbon. If you want to pause or go to the next slide. Here you're looking at, in this infinity tower, you're looking at values. Yeah, if you want to just pause it there, April, just for a second. Yeah, perfect. You're looking at values that go between 6,000-7,000 euros a square meter and above, depending. So if you have 100 square meter apartment, you can well look, depending on the floor level, of course, but you're looking at 100 square meters, 600,000 euros and above. There's some less for like a one bedroom apartment, studio apartments. There is a few as well, so that are priced a little less in the 400,000 euro range, but anywhere between 5 to 6,000 square euros, 5 to 6,000 square euros per square meter, rather, and above. If you want a penthouse, I mean, a 200 square meter penthouse apartment, you're looking over 2-3 million euros. So, but it's one of the beautiful towers that's being built. It's halfway built now. There's about 13 or 14 floors, and it is a total of 26 floors. So, and it's right outside of Lisbon in the city. The area is called Campo Lido, okay? And the next slide we're going to see is a branded residence. Mario got a chance to see the Wyndham in Quinta do Lago. This is the W residence, which is near. It's also a branded development, and you can play that slide, April, please. In the Algarve, in Albufeira. You want to pause it just here for a second. The W residences are also one of the as Portugal has become more and more sought after by international brands, brands like W, Wyndham, Seville's, they've associated with developments, and this is a turnkey development where, like a one bedroom apartment, you're looking at close to 500,000, 600,000 euros and above. You have for other sizes, of course, but where they handle the management, they're going to give you also a return guaranteed per year for the first 2 years, up to a maximum of 5, in the range of like 4%. Okay, but everything is all based on where it's turnkey. The whole it's like a hotel within an apartment, and really they manage it for you. They have everything, and it's run by them. So there's a lot of more and more that are doing their own branding of developments, especially in the Algarve touristic areas, because that's what people are looking for. So buying a property with them, there are exclusive rights as well to whether golfing, communities, etc. So that's in the Algarve. Yeah, exactly, Seville's. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. And what would not be Portugal without a wine farm? So this is a farm which produces Laurel and Alvarinho in the Douro region. So this is a wine hotel, farm, business as well. So what would be Portugal without having wine? coming to an end. There's another property. This is outside of Lisbon in Cascais. Yeah, okay, this is the last one. I think we have time. No, April? And the food. And the next slide, the wine. These are some of the sample dishes of the part of our culture and the food that you can find here. Some of my favorite wines. And I'll leave it at that. Lights out.
Thank you, Antonio. That was an incredible presentation. I
Thank you.
would have to say that you've done a very great job at romancing us all at wanting to go to Portugal. So we do have some questions from the members that were asked while you were doing your presentation. So I'm going to read from those questions first. One of the first questions was from Kathy. She asked, can you have passive income and then also work in the country?
Yes.
So I know the passive income was the rental income. And so now you said that people wouldn't have to pay taxes on the passive income for the first 10 years, but I'm sure on their earned income, they would pay taxes on that. Just
Yeah,
like
of course. Yeah, just on their earned, because that's what it is. It's called the passive income visa. It's more catered to retirees that want to move here, so their pensions, etc. But if you could still work here, but of course, then you'd have to go into the tax regime of IRS, and usually it's between a 28 to 30% tax bracket. That's what we were at.
Okay, now a question was that, just for more clarity, which visa was the passive income visa? Was it the golden visa or was it the D7?
Both. You can work, you can either visa, you can attain the non-habitual resident status as long as you declare Portugal as your home, but you don't have to live here all year round, right? The D7, 183 days out of the year. Golden visa, first year, 7 days, every 14 day, every year after that, 14 days. But for passive income, it's the non-habitual resident status scheme. And that's what you do. You benefit for 10 years, but that allows you to work as well.
No, it's incredible. Thank you. I can understand why you say so many people decide to invest in Portugal because of the tax reasons. I mean, that's huge. And you definitely got my interest. So,
for sure,
okay.
that's why they move here, and that's why they declare Portugal as their home. That's why Madonna did it. You know, Madonna for 10 years she benefited from that tax regime, and she wasn't paying on any of her royalties, her music, right? Because it was passive income, not so much. And so, a lot of other personalities. So, definitely looking.
Right. Okay. By the way, for our viewers, I am doing the questions in order that they were asked in chat. So I will get to your questions just so that you guys are all aware. Okay, next question was from Fred. He said, are visa citizenship requirements the same for Azores? If I pronounce that correctly.
The Azores, yeah, it's the same. Portugal, Azores is part of Portugal, Madeira. So any one of it's the same requirements. Keep in mind with the new. Here's something, Fred. With the new golden visa changes that are going to be made, where metropolitan areas of Porto, Lisbon, coastal areas are going to be affected, where you're not going to be able to use the golden visa program, but the islands of Madeira and the Azores are not affected, as well as the interior part of Portugal. Portugal now is going to the foreign investment they want to capture, and where they want people investing is in the interior part of Portugal. But any residency status, Azores, Madeira, or the continent within the country of Portugal, it's all the same.
Got it. And that was, you said, so the golden visa is going to be having changes, but it's not going to affect the shoreline properties in Azores or Madeira?
Or Madeira. And Madeira, we're doing a trade mission, Eric, in Madeira in the carnival time, because Madeira is one of the fastest growing in the last 10, 12 years. It's really not only of tourism, but it really is remarkable, the growth that it's experiencing. So definitely one of the places to consider. It is an island, for people that don't like islands, but it is a very interesting island where there's just so much melting pot of cultures as well.
Okay. And when's that trade mission?
Carnival, February 24th to March 3rd.
February 24th till March 3rd. By the way,
if nobody's ever, and some people have, of course, Carnival here in Europe, like it's not like Carnival where you go to Mardi Gras, but Carnival here in Europe is very interesting. If anybody's been to Tenerife or the Canary Islands, have experienced Carnival, it's within it's like a mild version of Brazil, where you do have the floats and the dancers and the samba, everything, and drinking in the streets and fun parties. It's wonderful time. It's a wonderful time to visit Madeira.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Okay, next from Kathy. She asked, how much down payment do you need, and do you have recommended lenders? Now, I believe you said you needed down payment of 40%. Now, what are the interest rates like?
Hi, Kathy. And Kathy, you can get 40%. Well, you get a 60% LTV, loan to value ratio. So if you're buying a property for 200,000 euros, obviously you got to have, the bank will lend you 6 times 220,000. So you got to have the 80,000 yourself. Interest rates here for the right now, they're at like 2%, 2.2%, which is extremely low. Yeah, we get our interest rates. It's through the European Central Bank, and it's based on Euribor, and that Euribor is what gauges the interest rate, and then the prime, or say the added part, and that is at negative. Okay, it's negative 0.52%. Okay, interest rates, and so right now. Where it gets at the 2.2, that is the premium for the loan that the bank charges you. So when the interest rates will start to go up, that's called the spread. Okay, so with that spread, it even you have an annual tax rate of like 2.2, 2.3%. But once, I would think in the next 3 years or so, like in the US as well, where interest rates are tending to go up, and here too in the next 3 years or so. But then it'll be always around between 3% a normal time. Before the financial crisis, before COVID, we were at like around 2.5, less than 3% interest rates as well.
It sounds very similar to our commercial rates over here in the US.
It
Where
is.
it
It's
goes
very
based
similar.
on time. Got it. Okay. Now, one more question with regards to that 40% down or that 60% loan to value. Many countries have a restriction where you can only finance if you are receiving like a salary or an hourly type of income, not if you're self-employed. And so are there restrictions such as that?
No, there's no restrictions. You basically, the bank, like you were doing as if you were getting a loan in the US. What does the bank want to do? They want to make sure you're going to pay off the loan, right? So whether you're self-employed, whether you're working for someone else, or you have, you're working for a company, they're going to want to see your IRS statements. They're going to see your bank details. They want to see your last 90 days movements of your bank. You're going to have to, those documents will be certified in the embassy in Portugal, or you send it to the bank and they'll certify they're legit. They'll verify that. And once they verify that you're working, whether for someone else or you're working for your own company, that you produce and you have the capabilities of paying back the loan, it's the same way of doing it in the US. There's no restrictions on that.
Okay. And you have English speaking lenders that could help the realtors that are in this group today?
Well, everyone here, Erica speaks English, especially in the banks. We work with quite a few, and there's not one. We're actually doing quite a few at the moment right now with foreign buyers, for loans. So, but they do speak English, maybe not 100% fluently, but at 80-90%. But the language is the same. You're looking at numbers and annual tax rate, etc. And you can do a fixed mortgage or 15-year mortgage, 10 years, because you can go up as high. Say if you're a young couple or a young person that is 20, 30 years old, they can extend the loan up to 50 years. It's the maximum is I think 72 years. Yeah. They are the younger generation. It's the only way they can get loans when they're first time home buyers. They're young. Imagine they're 30 years old. Okay, let's say 30 years old, but they can go to a loan for 42 years because it's a max of 72 years. Is that when the bank then that's will lend it to you? So if you're 50 years old, they'll only give you maximum of 22 years, right? So it all depends on but there are 10-year loan, 15-year loan. A lot of banks will also do like the first year you have it's the fixed interest rate of like 1.5%, and then you'll go to 2.2%. So the first year is fixed, etc. So in 15-year loan, so it all could be structured depending on to suit what you can pay off at the loan at what time you want to pay it off.
Awesome, that's great. Okay, thank you. Before I go into the two questions from Kendra, I just wanted to let everybody know that if you wanted a copy of this presentation, please put your email in a chat so that April can send you the presentation. But I also want to let you know that the presentation, I feel like, is so much better with Antonio guiding us through it. So this is being recorded, and we're going to have his presentation along with this recording on the RSAR's website. That is rsar.realtor, and go to global, and we have global power hours. And we should have that up in about a month or less. But I just want to let everybody know that this is going to be out there. Antonio, you will forever be a legend on our website.
Well, thank you. Well, like chocolate, right? I want to be famous like chocolate. And in addition, Erica, there's also another presentation that I sent you that you can free to share it with everyone that's participating. That is our investors roadmap to Portugal. Okay, so we do that roadmap every year at the beginning of the year once we get all the data and stats of 2021, so 2022. So, but it has a great information on the buying process, pretty much what was in the presentation, more details. So you feel free to share it. I think I'd send it to you, or just reach out to me and I'll send it to you personally.
Okay. Thank you, Antonio. All right, next questions from Kendra. She had two, so we're going to do them both. She said, are there inspections done on the properties during the purchase process?
Hi, Kendra. Yes and no. Okay, the law is here, buyer beware. But there are inspection companies that do it, and I would highly recommend anybody buying, especially if you're, it's one thing if you're buying a property that's built less than 10 years ago. The way the structure that the government did to for all the licensing, the energy certificates, you have an identity card of the build, etc. It's accompanied by the architect. Whereas before, the licensing of the certificate of occupancy license were issued by the city hall. That is no longer. Now it's the architects and engineers. So when they sign off that they use that quality of cement, that brick, this material, it's all on an identity card. So maybe probably it's really, they've even the energy certificate, every single property, it's like buying a refrigerator. You have to know how the quality air inside and what you're saving it and etc. So there's a lot of things, and these are on the newer properties. So probably having a home inspection is probably not necessary unless you want to have a comfort of mind. There are companies that do it. It costs the same cost in the US, about 700 to 800 euros, 600, 700, 800 euros. There's one called Check House. There's quite a few, okay? Or even civil engineers that do it privately. And it is suggestible, especially if you're buying a property that's older, that you don't know, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have those codes that were been implemented well over 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, the way the structure of building licenses. I could tell you that getting a building license now, you would only get emitted, you would be given permission to build if you have to incorporate one source of renewable energy into the home. Okay, it's mandatory. We're going into very green here in Portugal as well. So that's why a lot of, and the way that the building and the materials and everything is documented. So if you have a brand new build or was built less than 10 years ago, I don't know, you would probably still do it. But if you have the architect, and usually on a new build, of course, you have the insurance, or actually the guarantees from the builder, 5 years, unlimited warranty, and then you have 10 years, there's limited things in the home, you know, but structure and everything, it's guaranteed. So all these things, if it's less than 10 years, probably not, but anything over that, yes, for sure. And even 5 years old, hey, peace of mind, 700 euros, use it. But the law is buyer beware.
Got it. Okay, I have two more questions that are left from the chat, and then I had some other questions, but I don't know we'll have time, but I can always reach out to you later.
Sure.
Also asked, does a realtor represent both sides of the transaction, basically representing both the buyer and the seller? Or do each, does the buyer and seller have their own representation, and who pays for that?
It's a tricky question, Erica, and I always debate it, even with our own team and even other colleagues. I says, you know, you can only represent one person at a time. There are agencies where you have dual agencies where they both have listing agents and selling agents, or buyer agents. And more and more, we're here in Portugal, they're more geared into the listing agent side of it, right? But there are where they specialize in buyer representation. We do. That's why I have my ABR, and that's why we do about 80% is buyer representation. We have very few listings. I don't list the properties. I give them either to other colleagues or team members, and I focus on. And when we have, it's impossible to do both. That double agent stuff with us, it's just not fair. I think for the consumer, who you're representing, can it be done? Of course, it can be done, but it's really to shy away from and really not encouraged, at least in our office and what we work with. But again, we represent 80 to 90% of the buyers, so that's we work all over Portugal. And yes, there was a follow up, or there was a second part to that question, correct? Who pays the commission? It's the seller. Seller pays the commission always, unless you have the buyer representation agreement where you're finding a property that doesn't exist or you don't find it. We don't have MLS, so you know you have to turn every nick and cranny. Imagine trying to find properties. You have to either work with colleagues, find databases from other offices. So you do, but you kind of create your own MLS system, but we don't have one here per se like you guys do. So it makes it much difficult to find properties, but we do find them. It's just working with a network of colleagues, professional colleagues from all over Portugal.
Got it.
But always the seller. It's always the seller that pays, unless you have a buyer representation agreement. Then it is the buyer that will be paying that commission, because he's saying, find me this property within X amount of time for X amount of value. And then you could do a buyer representation. Usually that works for FISBOs a lot.
Okay, we got two more questions. You just answered Zachariah's question about MLS. I'm going to go to Kathy's question next, and then we'll go to April's. Kathy asked, does it have to be one property, or can you split the 280 euros between, say, a small condo and some land? And I believe that's, with regards to a visa.
Land, no. It has to be a home. It has to be a home, but you can't split it. You can buy two properties totaling the minimum requirement, 280,000 euros. You can also buy, for example, a property that's 100,000 euros, but it needs full renovation. As long as it totals 280,000, then that's what counts. And you have, for example, if you're buying a property for 280,000 euros, you have until the end of the visa program, you have to present all the costs that you had for the home, as long as they total. Imagine you buy an older home that's like 30 years old, has to be in the countryside. So you buy it for 100,000 euros. All the government you have to do is that you have to prove that you spent another 180,000 euros to make up for the balance. So you can start the acquisition of that property, declare your residence here, start the visa process or the residency status, and then have the rest of the years. You have 5 to complete, but then at the end of the 5 years, you have to show all the receipts that totaled 180,000 to make up for the rest.
Got it. That's great. Okay. April.
And you can buy 2 properties, 2 condos, or condos, no, unless they're condos that are 30 years old. When you're talking about 280,000 euro property, it has to be over 30 years old and a low density area. So we don't have too many condos that are over 30 years old in low density areas. It doesn't happen.
Sorry, I'm taking notes on everything you say.
Okay. And anybody can reach out to me if they have any specific questions, Erica. That's not a problem. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Okay. And then you have one last question from the chat from April. She says, do you put properties in the global MLS through NAR?
Through the CIPS, yes. That's because we have, as a CIPS agent, NAR lets you do that to put those properties there. So it is, but there is we don't have an NAR, or we don't have an MLS system to include any properties at all. The brands, and there are quite a few brands here. You mentioned from like, your Remax, the Century 21s, Eras, even EXP Move has also been established in Portugal. Caldwell Bankers, Christie's, Sotheby's, you name it. There's all the brands. They would have their own internal MLS system. They do. Okay, smaller professionals like me, we rely. I have other ways of getting that data through the National Statistics Bureau. So whether property sold, experience, this neighbor's property sold, etc. That's more reliable data than probably, because even at that, you could see, okay, in their internal MLS systems within their brands, when it was put on the market, how long it stayed on, did it sell, didn't sell, what price, etc. Right? Or maybe it was picked up by someone else. That listing was canceled, picked up. You could do that internally. But we don't have nothing, the local brokerages, and there's some quality top agents that have small local brokerages that are part of NAR, that are CIPS, that are ABR, that are CRS. And those are the agents you definitely want to work with.
Got it. You did it. You pretty much covered all those questions in your presentation.
In 1 hour. In 1 hour.
1 hour. And then I want to tell everybody here, there is a CIPS network, that's Certified International Property Specialist Network. And so for those here who do not have the Realtor CIPS designation, Reno Sparks Association of Realtors, along with Las Vegas Realtors and Wisconsin Realtors, are co-hosting CIPS classes in November. And so if you don't have a CIPS designation, or you've started the designation process and you would like to take the classes, please do it. Our association only has the opportunity to offer this every couple of years, so it's rare. So I encourage you to please sign up. April actually put the flyer right in the chat. So please download the flyers, sign up for the classes, and get connected to our CIPS network, because you have the globe at your fingertips at that time, and you get to meet incredible people that are on this call. That many of our visitors today here are from our CIPS network. They're here from other states, from other countries, because they heard about this through CIPS. So I just wanted to put in that little plug. And I wanted to thank everybody for being here. April has put in the link for our Global Power Hour so that you could see this recording later on and see our past Global Power Hours that we've done this year. And I just want to thank everybody for being here today. And thank you especially to our speaker, Antonio. And thank you to Labrie for making everything work in the background. She's incredibly amazing. And thanks, everybody.
Muito obrigado, Antonio.
Oh, Mario, Super Mario, hermano. Thank you, Mario.
Paisano.
Thank you, and always great to see you, my friend. And definitely, I would just plug as well that definitely get your CIPS designation. Out of all the designations I have, I would probably, I wouldn't mind just giving them all up, but CIPS, definitely reach out to Erica, and if you're doing it, to do it, because it's one of those that opens up doors, and we all know this, especially if you're in the international world, right, Mario?
That's right, man. That's right. I'm looking forward, Eric and everybody, to see you in San Diego. Yeah, for the national convention. And hermano, yes, Portugal is the place to be. And you know, as you can see in Antonio, he's the best. He's the best realtor in Portugal. Whatever you need, man, I am so excited. So we are working since I returned from the trade mission. I have one referral for him, so we are working on it. So please, yeah, and also before we leave, no, I've been to so many trade missions. And the one he prepared with his Davy and the other Anita, oh my God, it was top of the line. So please go to Portugal next trade mission. You will love Portugal. And just one more statistics. I was in like 3 weeks before in California when I went to Portugal. They had the same weather, the same people, and the key, you can buy a property in Portugal now 50% less than California. And the cost of living is like 50, 60% less. So there is no serious. There's a lot of opportunity. I've been to so many countries. So, but no, please go on a trade mission. You will see it yourself. You will meet Antonio, and you will see all the opportunities that they're there. And yes, you will fall in love and bring your clients over there. Yeah, that's a place to be. Thank you, Erica. Looking forward to see everybody in San Diego. Okay, hermano, obrigado.
Vocês são todos lindos.
Awesome.
Well,
Antonio, can I ask you a quick question? So if we're
Sure,
in to the trade mission in February, if we come a little bit earlier, stay a little bit late, would you be able to help us with the purchasing of an investment property?
Of course not.
Absolutely.
Of course not. I would not do that. No, of course not. No.
Well, you need to set us up like with the, also with a lender, probably a month or two.
Madeira is, Eric, I will tell you that Madeira, if you can live on an island, but even having a property as a rental income, a strong ROI, Madeira is definitely worth looking at. It has a beautiful climate all year round. It has so much activities all year round. I mean, you have to, if you see the history about Madeira, it's one of the fifth best places to visit for like New Year's Eve celebration. It's there with the fireworks and everything. You have like carnival, then you have the festival of the flower, then you have festival of this. You have the month of June that have so many different festivals, the festival of the banana. They have the north side of the island. You have so many beautiful wine plantations. But other than that, on the south side, it's the terrace line. It's banana plantation. So they make a festival of the banana. They make so many different things. The festival of the limpet. It's in June. There's so many things going on, and it's such a mild weather. I've been going there for 12 years. Every single year I go maybe once, definitely always in Carnival or in June. And it's just, I've seen the amount of growth in that island. It's unbelievable. The tourism, I mean, from all over the world. And so definitely Madeira is just one of those places that definitely needs to be visited. But then we're doing it in Porto and sometime in June. To coincide with our national holiday of Portugal Day. Okay, so that's why we're doing the trade mission in that specific time. And then in October, what we just did now, it coincides with the real estate exhibition. So you can meet other realtors as well, and other brands. There's a big exhibition going on, networking, getting to know real estate. But before, you can come in a few days before the trade mission and, have like personal time for yourselves, and even, do just get to know by yourselves as well, or stay on afterwards. Some people, when they came on, they came in, but then they stayed on a few extra days just to get to know a little bit more. So of course, and I hate to do that, I really do. So I love it. I think there's nothing more. It's just when you're working and having fun, because it's not work. Like Confucius says, find a job you love. You'll never have to work a day in your life. And I love it. I love doing this, meeting, connecting with people, seeing for the first time, giving them a hug, like hermano, aquel abrazo, like that hug. Etc. And quite a few other friends, and we had this trade mission, and it really was about like a family together, and it was a special group, of course, but everyone that comes to Portugal and they needed to try the food, and everything was just an experience, as when Mario said, like even when a few other friends, when we stayed at a hotel, I didn't tell them, but everyone had a nice, beautiful ocean view right on the beach, hotel. So and they're all sending me messages. Oh, we don't, what, this view is just not good enough for us. We want something better, so that but it was really a spectacular time, and that's what it's about: getting to know Portugal, getting to know the culture, the people, the food, the wine, a little bit of visiting of the sites, and real estate opportunities. And that's all. I love doing that for people that want to come and visit it. It's like I said, it's a pleasure being here, not only today with you, Erica, and April, and everyone listening, presenting our beautiful Portugal, because it really is. I've made it my home for the last 20 years, plus 20 years, and come figure out why. You'll see. Some people have seen it already, and then it's easy to see, so thank you so much but definitely look, reach out to me, you or anybody else, on any specific little question, and then we'll take it from there if I can help out on any small little detail.
Thank you.
Antonio, is that trade mission info on the SIPS website?
No, no, it's not. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
No, Kathy. No, because, when you try to get a lot, like even last year when I tried to do this trade mission, there was not a lot of support. Who was my support? It was Mario Rubio, Spencer Hu, Alicia Matheson, Frank McManus. It was just them that helped us do it, without support from our local organizations, because they were afraid because of COVID and everything. This was like in last February. And you don't know how the world was going to be like in October, and everybody was scared. And Mario said, "No, you got to do it. People got to come to Portugal, etc. And let's do it." And we did it. And it wasn't, with this out, but you need the support of your friends. Without any local associations, organizations, we put it together. Even if it costs money out of our pocket, it doesn't matter. It was because you're going to be building those relationships. You're going to be getting it back, whether through referrals and everything. So without any help of our local associations, because they were scared, whether any local associations without, NAR or NAR, not NAR, NAR, the help with them was just probably more of just along the people that I mentioned. And so maybe this time when you try to get associated with any association or within the NAR organization, if they want to support, but again, this is just something that we did here, and it worked out beautifully. It really did, with the help with our friends.
So how do you get information about the one that's coming up in February, March?
He did have, it was in the CIPS Facebook page.
Okay.
It just wasn't on AR's website. And once you apply for the CIPS designation.
I have the CIPS.
Oh, okay. Yep. So you get are you on the Facebook page? Yes. Perfect. Yeah, he does post them out there, and I see other people share them out there. We shared about this global event on the CIPS page.
Yeah, I had a hard time with the link. I don't know. I had somebody else had to give me the link. The one on the page didn't work.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So if it's going to be out there, then I can get in touch.
It'll
with you.
be out there, Erica.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Kathy, rather. Kathy, it'll be out there because our friends promote it for us, and that's again our friends, our colleagues. Those are our support. That was our support group, and I make sure that in a lot of other Facebook groups, the CIPS group as well, and other, but it's out there, the information, and even on Clubhouse and a few other places, like I do a lot of promotion for it. So yeah, I mean, we're promoting. We promote the event.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kathy.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are going to go ahead and close this video on Global Power Hour. And we were going to be having one in December, but unfortunately, it happens to be right before Christmas. And so we are going to probably postpone that until the new year of 2022. So this will be our last Global Power Hour for 2021, going out in a bang with Antonio in Portugal. And so thank you all who joined, and for our viewers who watch this in the future, I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you so much, and loved learning about Portugal. You guys have a really lovely holiday season. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, Erica. Bye, April. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Bye,
so
everyone.
much. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Hey, Louis.